Okay, so I just got done putting the jalapeno popper chicken casserole in the sun oven. So that's gonna get started, needs to take about 35 minutes. And now I'm gonna make carrot cake, gluten-free carrot cake to go with it. So, I have all my ingredients out, hopefully to make this process quicker. So you wanna do all the wet ingredients first. So this recipe does call for 2 eggs. So I'm gonna put 2 eggs in here. I'm gonna put the eggs in my compost pile. All right, and then I'm just gonna use a fork here to whisk this up instead of using a wire whisk. I do have a wire whisk, but I'm just gonna do this because it's real quick and handy. I'll put the recipe right there and then I can look at it. All right, then a 1/2 cup of honey. So I have, here's almost, I'd say about a 3/4 cup. This is a 1 cup mason jar of honey. So I'm just gonna pour until there's only like a 1/4 left. I'm just guessing. And let's see. I don't need things really sweet. However, my husband is gonna be eating this also. So I better. All right, so I probably didn't put enough in, could have done more. I'm gonna wash my hands since I did lick my fingers. Not that it matters because this is for family, but just in case somebody ends up wanting to try it. So stir that together. Then we need to melt some butter, which I should have already done that. However, it doesn't take very long to melt butter. So the recipe does call for how much butter? 1/2 cup. And 1/2 cup is usually a stick. I almost have a whole stick I have used on some of this butter. Guess what? It'll be fine. I'm all about that. Just do what you have. Do with what you have. All right, so crank that up. Stir this while that's melting. It does also call. My son just came in, so I'm telling him shh. All right, stir that. It does call for a cup of, you don't want that, that's raw egg. A cup of yogurt. So I'm not even gonna measure this. Just plop it all in there. It looked like a cup to me. So that'll work. Stir this up. It does call for a teaspoon of vanilla. So see, this is all working out. Being able to mix this stuff together while the butter is melting. It says a teaspoon. Boop. There's a teaspoon for me. Here, the butter's sizzling. And actually what I could do is pour some of the melted butter in there. That was really good. That didn't work the way I thought it was going to. I'll pour put it back in the pan. So that's my blooper. Mix this butter. That's gonna keep melting. Get it melted really good. I got lunch in the oven. And then you grate up some carrots. It does call for 2 cups of grated carrots. So I've already grated them up ahead of time. So that would be done. Anyway, and then after that, you add all the dry ingredients to it. All right, so here's the melted butter. Woo. And then I'm gonna set it, actually I'm gonna set that pan upside down in here, which is where I'm gonna put the carrot cake, and then the butter can run off in it, and then I can use that to grease the pan. Yeah, just little tricks here and there. All right, get that mixed in together. So I haven't tried this recipe, so we'll see. It's one I saw on YouTube, and the reason I'm doing it, here goes the carrots, is because I'm showing you things that you can do in a Sun oven. So put the 2 cups of shredded carrots in here, fold it in. There we go. All right, now for the dry ingredients. So it calls for a cup and a half of oat flour. So here's oat flour that my mother-in-law ground up for me with her Vitamix. So there's a cup. And then my measuring cups do have like lines on there for the other measurements. Not quite a half. You can see it inside and outside. Not all measuring cups have that. So there's, I don't know if you can see, there's lines on it, but it's also on the inside. So there's 1.5 cups of oat flour. My blender doesn't quite blend that fine. I mean, it blends good, but my hand crank blender is what I was saying. Anyway, and then you do a cup of quick oats. I don't have quick oats, I only have old fashioned, but I do grind up my own oats like this, and then you can use that for like instant oatmeal if you're going backpacking or something, or for like quick oats. So it does call for a whole cup of quick oats. So it'll just be my regular oats, but ground up, not into flour. Okay, so then it calls for a teaspoon of baking powder. And for those of you that like to measure, I'll measure. So there's a teaspoon of baking powder. And then it's also a teaspoon of soda. And it's probably good that, since I'm making something new, although when I just make stuff for me, I don't measure. Okay, and then it calls for 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So, ooh, that was probably more, but that's okay. A little less on the other one. All right, and that's it. So then I kind of just mix that powder and that soda in with the oatmeal. Kind of in the cinnamon as well. Get it kind of in with the oatmeal. All right. And now I'm going to mix. Just fold it over and mix. And that's all you do there. And this will take 35 minutes, it says, so we'll see. If you're using a regular oven, you cook it at 350. So might have to cook mine a little longer since my oven's at 325. Not necessarily, you know, all ovens are different. Okay, so do a couple more turns here. Get it mixed in real good. And sometimes when you're working with just oats and not like gluten-free flour, sometimes you can let it just like sit there for like 5-10 minutes for the oats to absorb everything in there. So I'm gonna just set it over to the side, and I'm going to let it soak the liquid ingredients. I'm gonna see how much butter came out of here to grease my pan. It actually did enough to do the whole bottom. see, swipe some, rub with my hands, and do the sides. That's just such an easy way to butter things if you're already melting butter, or grease pans if you're already melting butter. All right, so there's that. So we could, if we wanted to, I have walnuts here. So I'm debating whether to throw walnuts in it. The recipe does call for walnuts. I like walnuts. My husband not so much, but he said he was willing to try it. So these were halves and pieces, but I'm going to make them just a little bit smaller. And then see, while that's baking, I can make an icing recipe. And icing is just going to be some cream cheese, a little bit of yogurt, and like some honey. Mix that together and then spread it on top. So it will have to be refrigerated after it's put on. So it does call for a half a cup. This is 2 ounces, so it's not even half a cup. But I probably won't even put all of it in it. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit, and then it won't seem so overpowering to my husband. You can already tell the baking powder and soda are working in here. You can tell that it's soaking up the liquid because it's getting thicker. All right, so that hasn't even been 5 minutes, definitely not 10, but I'm gonna go ahead and pour it in the pan. Ooh, this is actually gonna fill up this whole sun oven pan. It says to put it in an 8x8 pan, so I guess this would technically be about that size, but in a round form. So set that there, kind of spread it around. Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. All right, let's see if you can see it. Oh, I just think it looks good. It's hard to get it good in the picture. Anyway, all right, so I'm gonna take it outside. And like I said, my jalapeno popper chicken casserole's already out there. So I'm just gonna add this cake to the top of it. Oh goodness, look at the jalapeno popper chicken. Oh, it looks so good. Can you see it? I turned the phone around. It looks so good. Yeah, and because I opened it to put the jalapeno chicken popper recipe or casserole in there, it went down to 300. Anyway, so we're gonna open it back up and we're gonna put the cake on top. The cake on top. Did I get it on there? All right. And then close it. And then we're done, and we let them both cook for 35 minutes.